The Danish Deception, Part 1.
I've seen the tags, I've seen the comments, I've seen the messages of everyone asking me to do the Danish Deception breakdown. I'm going to do the Danish Deception breakdown. It took me 2 days to get through this 26-part series. You better watch from beginning to end. We're going to do this in as few parts as humanly possible, so you better keep up because I'm not slowing down. It's June of 2022. She's working 2 jobs. She's overworked. She wants to take a vacation, so she reaches out to her friend Sarah that lives out in Germany with her husband, asking if she wants to go on a girls' trip. Sarah's down. They decide to go to Croatia. While at Hula Hula, she says that she looks up and sees a man that, in her words, was so attractive that she thought he was walking out of a Calvin Klein ad. 6'3", blonde hair, blue eyes, tan skin. You want to see what he looked like? Here he is. What? Anyways, according to her, she was taken aback and in awe of his beauty. She says that she's sitting there playing it cool. He looks at her, asks how the drinks are. She says that they're amazing. She tells him what her and her friend are drinking, and he offers to buy a round. Honestly, she was so giddy while telling the story time, you would have thought it had a happy ending with how excited she was. Anyways, he's there with his friend. They're all sitting down having small talk. She asks where him and his friend are from. They say Denmark. He asks her what her and her friend have planned for the rest of the trip. She tells him that they're going to a restaurant that night, but the next day they're going to spend all day on a boat. He asks about the restaurant that they're going to that night and whether or not it's good, and she's like, I don't know. It was just a place that was recommended to me by a friend. Now, why are you telling this random man your itinerary? It reminds me of the friend from the movie Taken. You remember the movie Taken where the daughter and the best friend landed in Europe? As soon as they got at the airport, the dude started talking to them. The friend's like, oh my God, he's so hot. So we're going to tell him that we're here alone and we're going to let him ride in the taxi and see where we stay. You're the type to get you and your friend trafficked. Anyways, he offers to meet up with them later. She says sure. Her and her friend are getting ready to leave Hula Hula. She asks him for his Instagram. They exchange social medias. Then her and her friend get in the taxi to go back to the Airbnb. While in the taxi, she gets a DM from the dude, and he's telling her that it was so nice to meet her. He hopes her and her friend have fun at the restaurant, and he's hoping that he gets to see her later on. She claims that she didn't really think much of it, and that will be a reoccurring theme. They get to the Airbnb, they start getting ready for dinner, and then he starts messaging her asking about the restaurant that they're going to again. She once again claims that she wasn't thinking much of it. They make it to the restaurant. They have a great dinner. They're sipping on espresso martinis right before they're getting ready to leave. She looks up, and lo and behold, guess who's at the restaurant? Him and his friend. He tells her that him and his friend are about to get a table in 20 minutes, but her and her friend are already done eating, so she's like, we're going to go get a drink and maybe we can meet up later. Her and her friend go to a bar across the street. They have a drink. She gets tired, so she messages him and says that they're just going to head back to the Airbnb because they still have to get on the boat the next day. Next day rolls around. Her and her friend go on the boat. She's posting pictures. He's heart reacting to all of them. A day and a half later, he reaches out asking what her and her friend have planned, and at that point, it's the last day of their trip. He asks if they would be interested in going out to dinner with him and his friend. She says that her friend didn't really want to go, probably because she's married, but in her words, she forced her friend to go because, well, this guy's hot, so. They arrive at the restaurant. She sits next to Mr. Calvin Klein model. We're going to call him Mr. Calvin Klein from this point forward. And her friend has to sit next to his friend. Either way, they make it to the restaurant. They're eating, drinking a ton of wine in her words. Why are we getting extremely intoxicated with random men in another country that we don't know? Then she decides that she wants to play a game where she asks Mr. Calvin Klein's friend what Mr. Calvin Klein's type usually is. The friend ends up saying that Mr. Calvin Klein likes a hard worker with good morals, good cook, so on and so forth. That's when her friend chimes in and is like, you know, my homegirl, besides being a good cook, she ticks off all those boxes. And that's when she looks at Mr. Calvin Klein and is like, oh, but I would become a great cook for the right man. Okay. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's like, why are you already pandering to this man you don't know? He starts laughing. She puts her hand on his leg, and she said for the first time in her life, she felt like electricity from somebody. She said it felt like she got shocked. That man electrocuted you? And you thought it was a good sign? Okay. They start talking about what they do for work. She's a real estate agent, and she works in tech. He says that he's a chief commercial officer for an ad tech company, and they just so happen to do marketing for real estate agencies. So after dinner, they go out to a bar to have a drink. Mr. Calvin Klein and his friend want to go out even more, but her friend doesn't, and she said that she's not the type to leave her friend for a man, so they go back to the Airbnb. While walking to the Airbnb, she receives a message from him once again saying that it was nice to meet her. He hopes he gets to see her again, and then he went on to say that South Africa was definitely happening. Why did he say that? Because apparently earlier in the night, she was telling him that she wanted to go to South Africa with her family for Christmas. And that's when he proceeded to tell her that he's also always wanted to go to South Africa. How coincidental! And she said that she jokingly told him he was invited if he wanted to come. Next day rolls around, it's the end of the trip. Her friend goes back to Germany, but she decides to travel to Barcelona to visit some other friends, and she's still posting pictures throughout her trip. She claims that every single time she looks at her phone, he is sending her a message. At a certain point, she had told him that she wanted to buy herself a Chanel bag for working so hard. So while she was in Barcelona, he ended up messaging her asking if she ever got her Chanel bag, and he happened to send that message at the exact time that she was in the Chanel store buying the bag. At that point, I would have felt like I was being watched. He does work in tech. Some of the tech bros use their power for evil. Because what do you mean I'm all the way in Barcelona? I think at that time he was in Copenhagen, and you're happening to message me about the Chanel bag that I mentioned one time at the exact time I'm in the Chanel store? Mighty coincidental. Either way, she leaves Barcelona, she makes it back home, and that's when he messages her asking if she wants to go to Ibiza that weekend with him and his friends. Mind you, this man doesn't even have her phone number yet, but she's thinking about going because he's offering to pay. She said the only 2 reasons she had for not going was 1, she had just bought the Chanel bag and she wanted to work and save up some more money, and 2, he seems like the type of guy that everything comes easy to and she's not going to be something easy for him to obtain. Sure. She tells him no, is convinced that he'll never speak to her again, but apparently that lit a fire up under him and he became even more persistent than he already was. He's DMing her all the time asking when she's going to come to Copenhagen to see him, when he gets to come out to Dallas to see her. A couple weeks later, he DMs her saying that he's got a work conference in Monaco and he wants to know if she wants to come. She told him that she would think about it, but then one morning she decided, screw it, I'm going to go. She messages this man saying that she's going to go. He responds and says, okay, I need you to send me a picture of your passport so I can book the flight. You know she did it? Took a picture of her passport and sent it to this stranger? Phone number? No. Private government documents? Sure, why not? And after sending him her personal information, she then proceeds to give him her phone number. He messages saying that it took long enough, and she's like, oh, well, I'm just more reserved when it comes to men. You gave this man a picture of your passport. You're not reserved at all. Anyways, one day he says he wants to call her. She becomes all freaked out. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do if he calls? Talk on the phone? Eventually does call, and now they're talking on the phone on a regular basis. Talked about relationships. She admitted she had never been in a serious relationship before. Stop telling men that. But she did tell him that she wanted to meet somebody, get married, have kids, blah, blah, blah. He proceeds to tell her that he was in a relationship with a girl for 4 months. They lived together, but then he broke up with her just 4 months before he went to Croatia and met old girl. And the reason he broke up with her was because she wanted to have kids and he didn't. So you're telling him that you want to get married, have kids one day, and he's telling you that he ended a 4-year relationship with somebody that he lived with because she wanted to have kids. Doesn't sound like y'all align. She talked about family. She told him that she was very close with her family, and he let her know that he was close to his mom and his little sister, but he had an older sister that he didn't talk to because she was allegedly verbally and physically abusive to their mother. She claims that they fell in love over the phone. Finally, time for her to go to Monaco, and she says for that month beforehand, they had agreed not to FaceTime because they wanted the next time they saw each other to be in person, and she thought that was romantic. Anyways, one of the times they were talking, he told her that if the two of them ever got married, she'd be able to meet the queen. She starts laughing. He's like, oh no, I'm serious. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, well, my family has a royal title. Oh, bitch, please. Anyways, he sent her a link to a website called the Order of the Elephants, told her to do some research on him. She eventually goes to the website, sees some old man from way back in the day that apparently has the same last name as him, and that's the proof that his family's got a royal title. She screenshots the name, sends it to him, is like, is this your great-great-grandfather? And he's like, now you're on track. But to me, the royal title would have been a turnoff because we've seen the way the royal family treats the spouses that ain't skin folk. If you know, you know. He tells her that his family has a royal title, and then he asks her how her etiquette is. She says that she guesses it's okay, and she's like, oh my God, who is this man? He's so attractive. His family's got a royal title. Oh my God, is there anything wrong with him? Probably. And she said that she was a believer in things sounding too good to be true, but everything's been perfect for a month, so it must be fine. She's packing her stuff to go to Monaco. Her sister tells her to put air tags in her bags, and she's like, I don't need to put anything in my bags because I trust this man and feel safe with him already. This stranger? You pasta and lobster warriors have got to learn the hard way every single time. She ends up getting to the airport, and she thought it was a good omen because a friend of hers that lives in a different state happened to be at the same airport at the same time. So she thought that was a good sign. She said in her mind, the worst case scenario was he's crazy, and she ends up having to get her own hotel and just have fun in Monaco alone. But I'm like, no, the worst case scenario is he's crazy and you're never seen again. But either way, she lands, she's walking through the airport, she sees him, says that she immediately felt peace and joy. She runs to him, he picks her up, hugs her, puts her down, and is like, hi, Bambi, which is a nickname that he gave her. Bambi? Like the deer? Like the animals that men who look like him like to hunt? Okay, girl. They proceed to stand there and make out in the middle of the airport. They get in the taxi. She said they had to be at arm's length because they were just going at it and they were making the taxi driver uncomfortable. They get to the hotel. She immediately sleeps with him. Now, after he gets what he wants, they go to dinner. She's telling him that it's a dream come true to be there with him, and he once again is just repeating the same shit back to her like, oh, it's a dream come true for you? No, it's a dream come true for me. You want to go to South Africa? Oh, no, I want to go to South Africa. Either way, they're in Monaco. He has some work conferences that he has to go to. He tells her that he's not sure he'll be able to take her to every event, and she's like, that's fine. I'll just explore the city. He had one during the day that she wasn't invited to, but he said that she could come to the nighttime event. He asked if she had anything to wear. She said that she didn't pack anything for a professional cocktail setting. And he's like, oh, we're in Monaco, just wear whatever. They go to the event. She's networking with other real estate agents because she also works in real estate. And then eventually her and Mr. Calvin Klein end up talking to this man who she said was just like super interested in her. And he asked if she was going to the boat party the next day. She looks at Mr. Calvin Klein and is like, I don't know. Am I going to the boat party tomorrow? And he was like, well, you're talking to the CEO. So if he's asking you, I guess it's fine. She said that she enjoyed watching him work. You know, she didn't understand what he was saying because he was speaking a different language, but he looked super smart. So she was fascinated. And it's like, had this been a trafficking situation, we wouldn't have ever even got this story time because not only are you traveling out the country with a man you don't know, but then you're going to get on a boat and go out into the ocean. That's how you get tossed in a shipping container. Next day, she goes out on the boat. She's watching him work. And then they had an event that night that she wasn't invited to, but then the next day he takes her to Saint-Tropez. Now, she was amazed at the hotel that he had them staying at because it was a private suite with a private pool. She looked it up and it was like 1,500 to 2,000 euro a night. She's telling him that she's not used to stuff like this and how amazing she thinks it is. He went on to tell her that as long as they were together, he wanted to give her the world. They go out that night to a restaurant. He starts talking about his mom, about how much he loves her, how protective he is over her. As she said in that moment, she realized that this was just everything that she ever wanted in a man, because if a man has respect for his own family, then the chances of him respecting your family are that much higher. Who told you that? Apparently, he could tell by her facial expression that she was thinking something. He's like, what is it? She's like, nothing. He's like, tell me. She's like, nothing. He grabs her face, pulls it close, is like, tell me. This girl looks him in the face, says, I love you. I'm in love with you, and starts boohoo crying at the table. Go ahead and wrap this shit up. He's sobbing, telling him, I don't know what these feelings are. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. And she said the whole time he's just sitting there smirking and smiling. Yeah, because he knew he reeled him in a sucker. The man looks at her and is like, I would like to say it back, but I want my own special moment. Sure. They go back to the hotel that night. Next day, they have a beach day, and she's just thinking to herself, I could do this for the rest of my life. Even if we were just out in Dallas laying on the couch, I just love spending time with him, and I want to be around him all the time, 24/7. That night, they go to dinner. She's asking what he's expecting out of the relationship. He says as long as she gives him loyalty and respect, he will give her the world. That seems to be his favorite line, girl. If he gives you the world, where the rest of us gonna live? Then she went on to tell him that his money was just a nice little added extra, and even if he lost it all tomorrow, she would still not go anywhere. Girl, at this point, you gaslight and love bomb too, because what do you mean you're telling him you're in love with him so much to the point you'd be willing to be in the poorhouse? You don't even know this man! She went on to tell him that her family is what's most important to her, and she doesn't tolerate cheating, and she hopes that he would never put her in a position to have to choose between her family and him. But I'm running out of time. Come back for part 2.